Hi everyone, I'm back to go over the physical map of India. So before we start, let's think about what would be in a physical map. So we're going to have things like rivers, we're going to have some mountains, other land forms, and so that in India, we're going to learn about plateaus. And just to remind you, plateaus are that high flat land. So it's at a high elevation and usually flat. And in India, we're going to have deserts. What else? We're going to have some bodies of water. So we'll learn about the ocean and seas. We're not going to learn about any lakes. There are lakes in India, but we're just not going to learn about any of them in this screencast. Okay, this is going to be a little bit longer than the screencast about the political map because there's just more to learn. So let's get started. We have a first thing I wanted you to know is that we have some bodies of water. So we need to know what their names are. So I'm going to start with the text and then I'll explain it some more. It says India is a peninsula, which means it's surrounded by water on three sides. On the left is the Arabian Sea. To the south is the Indian Ocean. And on the eastern side is the Bay of Bengal. So all of this is considered the Indian Ocean. And then if we're talking about the land that borders on the west side, that would be bordering the Arabian Sea. And the land to the east is the Bay of Bengal. And I usually remember Bay of Bengal because this country here is Bangladesh. And so Bay of Bengal and Bangladesh have a similar name. So that's in my head how I keep those straight. Okay. Now we're going to learn about the mountains. So if I think about some of the most famous landforms in all of India, I definitely think about the Himalayan mountains because it's the highest mountain range in the whole world. So this text says there are 4 main mountain ranges that make up India and the surrounding area. So let's look at the map. Here we have the Himalayas, and wow, it's like it's so many mountains. It's really incredible to have all those mountains very close together. So we have the Himalayan mountains here. Up to the northwest, we have the Hindu Kush mountains. Then down here along the kind of the southwestern part of India, we have the Western Ghats and then the Eastern Ghats. So those are the 4 different parts. Let's read what the text says. It says the Western and Eastern Ghats are low-lying mountains that form the tip of India. So just to pause, that means that they're not that high. They're not that tall. They're, mountains, but they're not like super sharp and super high. To the northwest are the Hindu Kush Mountains, now more commonly referred to as the Caucasus. I think I pronounced that right, Caucasus. Okay. North and northeast are the mighty Himalayas, mighty meaning like great, the mighty Himalayas. These giant mountains are the highest mountains above sea level, and they are still rising. Every year they get taller and taller by about like a centimeter each. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but after, 100 years, they will grow by, a foot or so. Mount Everest is the tallest of the bunch at 29,029 feet, and it's growing. So probably by the time that, you're an adult like me, it might even be 1 foot taller. So Mount Everest is actually not in India. It's in Nepal. It's on the border of Nepal and China. But Mount Everest is part of the Himalayan mountain range, and the Himalayas are in India, they're in Bhutan, they're in Nepal, and then China, the Tibetan region in China. Okay. Now let's learn a little bit about the desert. There's a very important desert, and this is called the Thar Desert. It's located in the northwestern part of India. So it says, located in the northwestern India and providing a natural border between much of India and Pakistan. So on the border of India and Pakistan, we have the desert. So that's kind of dividing the two countries. This was once referred to as the Great Indian Desert. This 77,220 square mile area is the 17th largest desert in the world. So it's not a huge desert, but it is important, and mostly you can think of it that it divides the country between India and its neighbor Pakistan. Okay, now let's talk about the plateau. The plateau is the high flatland. It says plateaus of India. There are two main plateaus of India included in this look at the subcontinent. There's the Deccan Plateau and the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So there are two different ones. The Deccan Plateau lies between the western and eastern Ghats. So I don't know if you remember, but on this slide we learned there's western and eastern mountains, and now we have a plateau in between them. So you can think of it like high mountains, and in the middle is a high flatland. So all of the elevation is up from the sea level. So this says the Deccan Plateau lies between the western and eastern Ghats and helps form the tip of India. Chota Nagpur Plateau is slightly north of the Deccan. And one question I have is like, how do you know when you're leaving the Deccan Plateau and you get into the Chota Nagpur Plateau? Like, in between, what is the land like? And I don't know that, but when I'm looking at these two, it kind of makes me wonder, like, why don't they just call it, one plateau? Why does it have two different names? So that's something I'm kind of interested in learning about. Okay, the last slide is about rivers in India. So there are several important rivers, and you'll need to know these rivers for our activity today. So the text says there are over 10,000 rivers in India, but there are just 6 that are most important. The Ganges, right here, I'm going to point out the Ganges for you, right here. The Ganges is by far the most famous river in India. It combines with the Yamuna. Here's Yamuna. Here's the Ganges. The text says it combines with the Yamuna River. There are also the Krishna and Godavari rivers. We have Krishna in the south, and Godavari is just north of it here. The Krishna and the Godavari are toward the bottom half of the peninsula. The Indus, here, and Brahmaputra River here, flows over parts of India, but they're largely in other countries. So I can see the Brahmaputra is actually in China, in the Tibetan region. And I can see that the Indus River is now in what we now call Pakistan, but that used to be part of India. And then it's going up to some of the bordering countries, like Tajikistan, as up here. Okay, so you're probably wondering what you have to do today. So the assignment today is about an Indian geography map. Let me make it a little smaller for you. Okay. So we have a map about Indian geography. So just like what we just learned, we have mountains, we have rivers, these are the plateaus, we have the desert, and then there's some more mountains here. So at the bottom of the page, I've listed for you what you need to label. So I'm asking, could you please put the names of these places? Could you find them on the map? And the challenge for you is, again, I mixed up the different types of physical features. So we have the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, Brahmaputra River, and you'll see there's a mix of plateaus. It's just in alphabetical order. So everything's mixed together. So that's the challenge. If I were you, I would just go one by one and go like checking off the list. And then when this is all finished, you can submit it in Schoology for some points. So please let me know if you have questions. I hope you learned a little bit about the physical geography of India. I'm still learning a lot. I've never been to India, so I get to learn just along with you to figure out what it's all about. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon.